Hello, everyone. Welcome again to these Dhamma sessions. In our last meeting, we learned how the Buddha was able to turn the wheel of Dhamma and set it in motion in the world by sharing the pristine teachings with the 5 ascetics, who subsequently became his first disciples. In this session, we will delve into the fundamental aspects of the noble truth of suffering and its profound impact on our lives. When we approach the Buddha's teachings, the Dhamma, we should do so with the appropriate attitude, mindset, and understanding, but most importantly, we must arrive at it with the right intention. The Dhamma shouldn't be taken or accepted blindly, nor perceived as a creed that requires blind acceptance. It shouldn't either be taken merely as a system of doctrines or ideas to entertain the mind and its intellect. As we have mentioned, the Dhamma is fundamentally a path that leads to the realization of truth. In essence, it refers to the truth that is to be experienced directly. It is worth mentioning that even though the teachings of the Buddha encompass a wide range of doctrines and principles, these are not presented as elements for an established belief, but rather as guiding principles like road signs that help us navigate the thickets of the world, leading us from darkness to light, from ignorance to wisdom, from bondage to freedom. The fundamental principles and doctrines of the Dhamma and its framework arise from the Buddha's awakening and realization of truth. They do not arise from intellectual contemplation or philosophical musings, and as these teachings come to us, we can receive them humbly with the intention and wish to let them lead our hearts towards the attainment of enlightenment, enabling us to realize the Buddha's profound insight into the true nature of existence. The Dhamma represents the very essence of reality, encapsulating the truth inherent in our own experiences. And to understand this truth, we must embark on a journey of self-discovery, traversing the path of Dhamma with its guidelines and principles. This path is not a journey undertaken by others. It is a solitary path that we must walk alone. Nevertheless, we will interact with others and receive the unconditional support from those who practice it well, such as the Sangha members, the monastics who, out of compassion, share the Dhamma, shedding light and guiding all who wish to find liberation. With this reflection about the Dhamma and how we should approach it, we may ask ourselves, how can we incorporate it into our lives and why? The very nature of human experience involves numerous challenges, difficulties, and shortcomings. The Buddha referred to this as dukkha, commonly translated as suffering. The primary function of the Dhamma is to address these issues. Its objective is to assist us not only in coping with these challenges, but also in overcoming them by understanding their fundamental nature. We adopt the Dhamma as our path, the means, a method to transcend our current state of entanglement and suffering, dukkha, and attain liberation, nibbana, the cessation of suffering. The Buddha said that he teaches only suffering and the cessation of suffering, insisting that all other pursuits, speculative endeavors, are ultimately futile, deceptive, misleading, and even dangerous. Even though the breadth of the Dhamma is vast and extensive, all doctrines and principles fit within the framework of the Four Noble Truths. In Pali, Chattari Arya Sachani. The Buddha gave a simile for this, stating that just as all footprints of all humans, animals, or creatures in the world fit within the footprint of an elephant, so too all the teachings taught by the Buddha fit into the framework of the Four Noble Truths. If we remember, in our last session we learned that the Buddha didn't declare or proclaim that he was awakened so long as these four truths were fulfilled, fully accomplished and penetrated. Therefore, the full realization of the Four Noble Truths is the attainment of enlightenment. In his first discourse, the Buddha presented the Four Noble Truths to the five ascetics. The first noble truth is the truth of dukkha. The term dukkha is commonly translated as suffering, but as we will explore, the Pali word carries a more profound significance beyond this translation. The second noble truth elucidates the origin of dukkha, the root cause of suffering, that is, craving or thirst, a self-centered desire. The third noble truth reveals the cessation of dukkha, the ultimate end of suffering, which the Buddha declares as nibbana, a state of liberation. And the fourth noble truth is the path, the method for achieving liberation from dukkha. This path is known as the Noble Eightfold Path. And from this analysis, we can see that the Four Noble Truths revolve around a singular subject referred to as dukkha. The truths differ primarily in their perspectives on this subject. The first truth presents the problem, delineating the various forms of dukkha. The second truth identifies the root cause of the problem. The third truth provides a solution. And the fourth truth outlines the methods, the path, providing the means to attain liberation. And as we can see, all four truths orbit around the concept of dukkha, making it imperative to understand its true nature. The Pali term dukkha denotes pain and suffering. The Buddha occasionally applied this meaning when discussing and addressing unpleasant feelings, physical and mental states, collectively referred to as dukkha vedana, which signify painful feelings. On a deeper level, the term dukkha points at the fundamental unsatisfactoriness that imbues all existence and forms of life. This is due to the inherent impermanence, instability, and lack of an inner core or substance in all forms of life. Dukkha encompasses not only painful experiences, but also pleasant ones, as they are all subject to change and lack stability. Grasping and holding onto these experiences leads to our affliction, dissatisfaction, and suffering. Dukkha presents a constant sense of incompleteness from what we wish and desire for compared to what we have and experience. True happiness can never be found in these experiences. However, it is found in their transcendence by understanding that inherently they are suffering and by realizing their true nature. Even though this is not a Pali language course, we can review a few Pali terms that can help us get their deeper meanings and gain better understanding of them. The phrase in Pali, Chattari Arya Sachani means the Four Noble Truths. The word Sacha is translated to English as truth. However, its meaning extends beyond the English definition of truth as the body of true statements and propositions. Instead, it encompasses the broader concept of that which is, referring to a state of existing reality or actuality. Therefore, the Four Noble Truths are four realities, four actualities. This tells us that the Buddha didn't just come up with them from mere thinking, speculation, or belief. He actually found them, he saw them, and realized them. The Buddha's awakening was the rediscovery of these Four Noble Truths. They were there before him and will be there after him, whether there is a Buddha or not. These Four Noble Truths are present, ready to be seen, understood, experienced, and developed by anyone with a humble and sincere heart in pursuit of liberation from suffering. The term Arya means noble, and the truths are called noble for a few reasons. First, they are called Arya Satcha, noble truths, because they are taught by the Aryan, the noble one, in this case the Buddha. At the time of the Buddha, a distinction was made between two groups of individuals, the ordinary or common people, known as Putujanas, and the Aryans, the noble ones. Putujanas are those who have not attained enlightenment, who have not witnessed nor fully understood the Four Noble Truths. They represent the average person. The Aryans, on the other hand, are the enlightened ones. They are either fully enlightened or at least have entered the path of enlightenment and are progressing towards full liberation. The second reason why truths are regarded as noble is that they guide us towards the Aryan state. They lead us to liberation. And the third and last reason is because they aim to develop noble qualities, such as wisdom. In the first noble truth of suffering, Dukkha Arya Satcha, the Buddha describes the different forms and types of dukkha that we can encounter. He says, "This is the noble truth of suffering. Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. To be united with the displeasing is suffering. To be separated from what is pleasing is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering." In brief, the five aggregates subject to clinging are suffering. Here we encounter various forms of dukkha, starting with birth, which can be defined as the moment of conception, the emergence of the fetus in the womb. It encompasses the entire process of gestation from conception to birth. As far as I know, there is no record of any newborn baby being born without making a sound. They are born crying and in distress. The birth of a child can be a traumatic experience, characterized by pain and discomfort. Birth itself is considered dukkha because it sets the stage for all the subsequent forms of dukkha that will manifest throughout the lifetime. As we grow older, we experience the changes in our body. When we are young, we have sharp faculties, we are strong, full of energy and stamina. And as time passes and the body begins to age and decay, we start to lose all those sound and sharp faculties. We lose our eyesight, we lose our teeth, we experience hearing loss, our memory declines, the skin wrinkles, the joints become stiff, the energy decreases. We feel tired and burdened by the state of the body and the mind. This is the suffering, the dukkha of old age. Sickness can occur throughout our life. However, as we grow older, we are more prone to sickness and disease. We can undergo accidents that produce injuries. This form of dukkha manifests as ailments of the body as well as of the mind. The culmination of birth, aging, and sickness is death. It is the breaking up of the body, the end of the life. This too is dukkha. Sorrow is an intense emotional state that is characterized by profound distress, typically triggered by significant misfortunes or hardships. Lamentation is characterized by weeping and crying. Pain indicate painful feelings. Grief is deep sadness and any form of mental anguish. Despair represents the complete abandonment of hope. These types of dukkha can be defined or grouped as occasional dukkha. This is because they can occur at some given times. We see this clearly in the events of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Continuing with other forms of dukkha, we see that the union with the displeasing or unpleasant is suffering. This implies any contact with unpleasant, displeasing, or undesirable objects, situations, or experiences. Even the association with people we don't like or don't feel comfortable with, they are dukkha. The separation from what is pleasing or desirable is suffering. In the same way, when we part from those pleasant, agreeable, and desirable objects or experiences, we suffer. For example, in the loss and separation from loved ones, parents, family members, and friends, or the breakup of relationships. Not to get what one wants is suffering. When we don't get or accomplish what we wish for or desire, we suffer. This includes material objects such as a house, a car, wealth, good health, as well as immaterial things like fame, renown, recognition, appreciation, or respect. These last three forms of dukkha are known as frequent dukkha because we come across them very regularly in our daily lives. Perhaps we can stop for a moment and reflect that all these forms of dukkha, in their definitions, are not simple postulates. They are not invented. They are not imagined. As the Buddha defines the forms of dukkha, what we can do is just to take a moment and perhaps reflect deeply, to look within and observe and try to relate with these forms of dukkha, not in their definition, but just as you feel it, just as you experience it here and now, even in this very moment. You experience the birth, growing up, your upbringing, perhaps the challenges in your upbringing with your parents, with your family members, or experiencing relationships with friends or partners. You may have experienced the breaking up in a relationship, the pain, the sorrow, the hurt that brings about, the change in your body, having injuries, or perhaps an accident, the limitations of the body, the burden of the body. In these interactions with the world, experiencing sorrow, lamentation, grief, despair, deep anguish. These are just real experiences. They are not just a story or postulates or ideas. This is our life. This is our reality. And as we outline or review and learn the teachings of the Buddha, in this very moment of reflection, perhaps when we observe, we trace back these events, it hurts. We feel the pain, feelings, emotions, the arising of thoughts. We may feel restless, uncomfortable, and you simply relate to your experience. This is very personal, very intimate, and is true, is real. So perhaps at this very moment, you yourself are experiencing firsthand the first noble truth of suffering. We welcome it. We allow it to be. We become aware of it. We don't run away, nor do we reject it. We go through the experience of reality, of this true state of reality, of the noble truth of suffering. This is where we can begin. This is where the teachings begin. This is where the intention arises to be free, because there is suffering. So we don't turn away from this. We just learn how to face it, how to see it, how to embrace it, but most importantly, how to work and deal with it. So eventually we can transcend it. This is how we arrive to the teachings of the Buddha, approaching the Dhamma with humbleness, receptiveness. The Dhamma that is intimate and relatable to you, perfectly fit for your own experiences, for your own reality. This is not a story or a fable or fiction. This is true. And this is the truth of suffering. It is a good start, a wonderful day, where we can also develop our intention to walk on this path, beginning from this experience of suffering. with patience and endurance, we learn, we appoint ourselves to the teachings, we incorporate the different suggestions or guidelines to follow so we can grow and become stronger and develop the wholesome and skillful qualities that can help us face one by one every challenge of daily life. In this pause that we took is simply to remember that the teachings are real and they are based from the experience of this reality. And this gives us the strength, the faith, the trust, the will with right intention to move forward. The Buddha continues to share the different types of dukkha, and he finishes his exposition of the first noble truth of suffering by saying that, in brief, the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, panchupadana khandha, are suffering. With this statement, the Buddha asserts that all our experiences are in themselves dukkha, and we can call it constant dukkha because it is a continuous state of suffering. What we are, the Buddha says, is a set of 5 aggregates, khandhas, subject to clinging, upadana. Our fundamental nature is composed of 5 aggregates: material form, rupa, feelings, vedana, perceptions, sanya, mental formations, sankhara, and consciousness, vijnana. This mind-body phenomenon is a fundamental aspect of our existence. The self, its identity, who we believe we are, is ultimately a manifestation of these 5 aggregates. Together, they produce the diverse spectrum of thoughts, feelings, emotions, concepts, and inclinations that comprise our world. As a result, the Buddha states that the 5 aggregates are inherently unsatisfactory, implying that all of our experiences, encompassing our entire existence, are inherently dukkha, unsatisfactory. And the reason for which the 5 aggregates of clinging are dukkha is because they are impermanent. They undergo constant transformation, arising and vanishing without any substantial entity that persists through these changes. Since the fundamental components of our existence are inherently in flux, devoid of a permanent core, there is no lasting pleasure, enjoyment, or true happiness found in them. There is nothing we can hold on to as a foundation of security. Instead, we are confronted with a perpetually changing and unstable process that, when clung to in the pursuit of stability and permanence, leads to profound affliction and suffering. The aggregate of material form, rupa, encompasses the physical body. It also refers to the 4 elements that constitute material form. The earth element can be found in the harder bodily parts, like hair and bones. The water element refers to the liquid bodily parts, like blood and urine. The fire element, for example, can be found in the process of digestion, and the breath in the case of the air element. The rest of the 4 aggregates refer to the mind, the mental aspect of the self. The aggregate of feeling, Vedana, is the affective aspect of our experience, is the mental factor that feels the object. There is pleasurable feeling, painful feeling, and neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor pleasant. The aggregate of perception, sanya, is the cognitive aspect of experience. This mental factor perceives and takes notes of the qualities of an object. The aggregate of mental formation, sankhara, encompasses all mental acts of volition, will, and desires. These volitions or intentions represent the reactive aspect of the mind, which responds to things or their potential. The fifth aggregate of consciousness, vijnana, constitutes the fundamental awareness of an object. As we previously discussed, these 5 aggregates of clinging, the mind-body phenomenon, are referred to as dukkha because they are impermanent, subject to change, unstable, and they lack a core that we can rely on. There is nothing we can identify as me, mine, or myself within them. So they don't provide any sense of security or reliability. They are constantly changing from moment to moment. That's why these aggregates serve as the foundation for all dukkha, suffering. They are the factors that are born, grow old, become ill. They experience life with its ups and downs, with sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, and eventually succumb to death. Therefore, the 5 aggregates of clinging constitute the essence of dukkha. The Buddha shared in a discourse that there are 3 distinct types of dukkha: the suffering caused by pain, suffering due to formations, and suffering resulting from change. Suffering due to pain can be called ordinary dukkha, in Pali, dukkha dukkhata, and this refers to suffering that is experienced either bodily or mentally. Suffering of the body relates to the prominent pain experienced due to injuries, when we get into accidents, the sickness of the body, contracting a disease. And as to the mental dukkha, this refers to states or experiences of depression, anguish, anxiety, sorrow, grief, or despair. Dukkha due to change, viparinama dukkhata. This suggests that all our pleasurable experiences are merely a manifestation of dukkha. For example, when we come in contact with objects, these can give rise to pleasurable experiences. When an object we come in contact with gives us pleasure, we cling to the pleasure and also to that object and become attached to them. We enjoy and seek the pleasure it gives us. But this object is subject to change. It is impermanent. And when it changes, when it breaks, when it is taken away from us, or when it finally passes away, all that pleasure, enjoyment, and delight we felt associated with it goes away with the object. Instead of pleasure, we now feel pain, dissatisfaction, and frustration. Attachment to the world and its objects bring dukkha, because the world with its objects are inherently dukkha, along with the pleasure and enjoyment they bring in the first place. And if we don't make an effort to see their true nature, we are bound to suffer. Let's consider another example. When we are very sick, we feel terrible and awful. and we really wish to be healthy once again, to come out of that illness. And we often do become healthy and regain our strength. We may think that being sick is dukkha and being healthy is not, but this is not true. In fact, even when we are healthy, the nature of dukkha is inherently present in that condition too. We may not see it because we don't feel the pain or distress, because we are healthy and enjoy the ease and comforts of being healthy. This is how tricky and difficult understanding the nature of dukkha can be. Lastly, there is dukkha due to formations. Sankhara dukkhata. The term sankhara in this context signifies conditioned formation. The Buddha emphasizes that the 5 aggregates of clinging are essentially dukkha. They are the building blocks that make up our being and our sense of self. They function independently, and we lack control over them. We cannot manage them according to our desires. They are unstable, impermanent, subject to rise and fall. The sense of identity of an individual is simply a combination of mental and material processes that are constantly undergoing transformation. That is why it is imperative that we see these phenomena correctly, to understand and experience this reality as dukkha. With this, the Buddha finishes his exposition of the first noble truth of suffering, dukkha ariya satcha. We also had the chance to explore the deeper meaning of the term dukkha and look at its different forms and manifestations. This is a very important and central aspect of the teachings of the Buddha that we can always come back to investigate, reflect, and eventually realize in our heart. It was because of the reality and actuality of dukkha that Prince Siddhartha ventured on his quest to find the freedom and liberation from it and become a Buddha. Now that he had found a way out, that he was able to penetrate its true nature, we receive his guidance and wisdom by presenting the teachings to us in a way we can relate to, comprehend, and experience it. And in following his recommendations, we can eventually transcend it. Let us finish our session today, and I will kindly like to invite everyone to pay homage to the Triple Gem, to pay homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One, who fully attained perfect enlightenment, homage to the Dhamma, the teachings which he well expounded, and pay homage to the Sangha, the community of monastics that continue to practice well and share the Dhamma with the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I wish everyone a good day, and we see each other in the next session.